Hi there, welcome to Tarot Land Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Capricorn energy, and I'm using a combined Kipper style and Lenormand style deck. I had been using a different deck, but they were not the same size and it was really causing a problem, so I've switched to two decks that are the same size. Anyway, the way we're going to read this is the top row I refer to as high vibe Capricorn energy, the bottom row a more worldly, shadowy Capricorn energy, because we all have our free will and we have to debate within ourselves, and some people are debating within themselves, and at any point in time in our life, even if we are moving forward in kind of a high vibrational energy, which is kind of trying to be someone who walks the talk and that you are who you say you are, and high vibe, you're kind of treating other people the way you like to be treated, and motivated and inspired by truth and love and justice and fairness. But there's always going to be, we've always got to pay attention, because there's always going to be shadowy people in the world that are maybe trying to present themselves as more stable and grounded and mature than they really are, but they're really kind of more, haven't learned some lessons that you might have learned. For other people, they've already moved on from an old way of living life. The bottom row can kind of represent our comfort zone, and they face their fears to move forward in life a little differently. When they move forward in life a little differently, there can be some other people that aren't moving forward in that way, and some of those could have been people that at one time you were hanging out with, right? The reason for the bottom row's reading is the wealthy man. Interesting. The reason for the top row's reading is the wealthy woman. The way I view Capricorn as the King of Pentacles, so the wealthy man would represent the King of Pentacles, the wealthy woman would represent the Queen of Pentacles. The King and Queen of Pentacles is the only married suit of the deck, but the King and Queen of Pentacles can also talk about, all these different kind of relationship dynamics we have. Work, friend, family, all those things also, right? So there can be a lot of people in the world, whether they're male or female. The masculine cards, when we go present ourselves in the world, it's considered masculine energy. And we've all kind of went and presented ourselves in the world. And we had our fears or our insecurities or self-limiting beliefs, or we're more immature. And, some people emotionally learn to heal and grow and mature themselves. So now when they go out in the world, they really are who they say they are, more so than they may be used to. And so when some people have emotionally grown and matured themselves, they're just not presenting themselves as a more emotionally stable, grounded person. They really are an emotionally mature person. The feminines in tarot can talk about how we think and feel. And in the bottom row, we have the false person. So we're either kind of more aligned with, in our dualistic nature, with our more defensive nature, egoic nature, worldly nature, something about, there's some lesson, something that we haven't freed ourselves from, which can just be our ego, because the masculine cards, since that is kind of more us presenting ourselves in the world, it can be our more worldly egoic nature. And, it can be operating a little bit more out of fear and insecurity, pride, ego, lust, greed, immaturity, something, right? So let's go look at the bottom row. We have the lilies, which also says Capricorn on it. We have disconnection. We have false person, direction, devil, and journey. So shadowy Capricorn is represented by the devil. So all of us, in order for us to free ourselves from things that manipulate us, which can just be our ego, and our more worldly nature can manipulate us in a lot of ways, and a lot of other people in the world can tempt us to align with our more worldly, egoic, codependent nature, right? And if we learn lessons in life, hopefully we emotionally grow and mature ourselves, and some of those things don't manipulate us like they used to. But, you know, we all have free will. And let's see what this Capricorn card said. It says wisdom, sex, maturity, experienced, older person, long process, heritage. We have the free will to emotionally grow and mature ourselves, or with the disconnection card, we can choose, no, not going to do that, because to free ourselves from things that manipulate us, and Capricorn is earth sign energy, and that can mean you really have to put in a lot of work and effort to free yourself from things that manipulate you. And some people somewhere along this line just decided, forget about that. I'm just going to align with my more worldly egoic nature of the false self. And that was the direction that they're going, which is in shadowy Capricorn, aligning with their more worldly egoic nature. And then the journey card, kind of like being an old style card of black and white, we'll all keep repeating old patterns, and we'll keep repeating that pattern over and over and over, because the truth sets us free. We have to be willing to get out of our ego and see the truth of how we're even repeating an old pattern. It's like doing the same thing over and over. And with the devil card, it can be that we find ourselves in situations that we think are maybe going to lead to, some type of victory and success. I know Capricorn energy can be about, what do we view as victorious and successful? Some people think, the devil could be, I'm going to go indulge in these things of the world. I'm sure that's the answer to me feeling better. Or I'm going to present myself in the world a certain way. And I believe there's, the devil can talk about people being attracted to you, that I'm going to go present myself in a certain way. And I think there might also be other people in the world who kind of wear a false mask, or are more tempted by these things of the world to go indulge in. Hey, if we're on the same page, let's go indulge in those things together. It can also be, I want to make my life more about money or status or image is more important. Do you think that's more important than growing and maturing and healing yourself and love? Well, hey, me too. Let's go on this journey together. The only thing is that it can be, some people want to stay in their comfort zone with the journey card. The truth is, I am more maybe about me, more about these things I indulge in, these things I make more important in my life than love. This is my comfort zone. I want to stay in my comfort zone. I don't ever want to take more creative, inspired action to work through my more worldly nature to free myself from it. I'm just going to keep letting those things manipulate me, or live more for my ego, or make my life about those things. And if they can find someone else who is on that same page as them, well, that would be a just and fair relationship. But if two people are kind of more operating from their defensive nature or egoic nature or more worldly nature, that is the reason why they're in the relationship. Because it's not, there could be two people who could benefit from emotionally growing and maturing themselves. And then it can be hard to find someone, no matter how you live your life. Say you really like to indulge in certain things. That is what makes you feel like you're living the dream and you think will make you happy. Well, you kind of got to find someone who kind of wants to indulge in those things, but we all kind of have, well, that's too much. No, that's going overboard. And so it's hard to find someone who kind of can seem to be on the same page, right? And a person can be prideful, but they might maybe prideful and egotistical, or bossy and controlling, or more about themselves, or more about the world, or more about their ego or their image. They could find other people that are willing to be in a relationship with them, but those persons' issue could be something else. It could be fear or insecurity, or being um, manipulative or controlling. It's just people, there's something they don't want to see the truth of about within themselves that kind of keeps manipulating them. And because it manipulates them, then they can get in a relationship with other people who are happy those things manipulate that person because they have their own issues that manipulate them, right? And if neither person is willing to kind of grow or heal or mature themselves and deal with the truth, the King of Pentacles, it can be where you're offering people these things of the world, which can just be, I'll be in a relationship with you. Shadowy energy can be codependency. Hey, I'll be in a relationship with you. I'll offer you these things of the world that I have, which can be, I've got status, image, clout, money, or I'll just have sex with you, or I'll stay in a relationship with you. And it's kind of trying to find that mix of what it is that manipulates one person to kind of find someone who has their own things that kind of manipulate them, but so long as they're willing to, it's kind of, the devil comes into our life when we maybe weren't willing to see the truth, and we're going to go on a journey, you know, to learn, is this my truth or not? We come in contact with all these different people in the world to help us get clear what our truth is and our truth isn't. We can kind of be manipulated more, maybe by superficiality and what people look like and their status or image or their social cloud or something. And maybe we don't believe we have some of those things, or, and then it can kind of seem like maybe you compliment each other, but it kind of gets to the intention of why do we get in it. And sometimes we don't realize we're repeating an old pattern because it is kind of buried in our subconscious. And I think, we all in our worldly nature wanting to conform to the world, wanting people to view us a certain way, wanting to be in friendship and relationship and have jobs and community and stuff like that. Sometimes we're not really living our authentic truth in high vibe Capricorn, and we're kind of presenting ourselves in a certain way so that other people will view us a certain way. And you know I think high vibe energy at the big picture represented by God wants us to be free of all those things that manipulate us. We can't ever be free of all of them because we have our shadow nature. We have like the knowledge of the tree of good and evil within us, and in our more worldly egoic nature, we can be selfish and greedy and prideful and egotistical and lazy and want reward without effort and want things more our way, right? And as we go through life and we learn lessons, hopefully we're shedding more of the more extreme versions of that. That, we can always, there's always some that kind of exists there. Now we can keep offering love to that aspect of ourself. We know it's there, and it's kind of in our more high vibrational nature. It's like loving our more immature or wounded, prideful, egoic, jealous, whatever nature. And hopefully we have learned lessons in life that, I don't want to sit in shadowy energy within myself, even. So when I kind of could realize some things could trigger me, it's like, oh, wait, I remember that. Yep. I've been envious. I've been jealous. I've been fearful. I've been insecure, whatever. And then out of love for ourselves, we kind of stand up for ourselves emotionally and say, no, we've already been there before. We've learned lessons in life. And then in high vibe, King of Pentacles, of standing up for our more emotionally intuitive, loving nature, we take action to invest in truth and love to not stay in shadowy energy, and then we take action in more high vibrational energy. It's just some people haven't learned to do that yet. And sometimes when, the devil can be those things, we get jealous, we get envious, we get fearful. Some of those people, it's kind of like a stumbling block. And instead of putting in work and effort to stand up for their more hopeful, believing, loving nature and themselves, they kind of get tempted to think, well, that does take work and effort to work through those things that manipulate me. I think I'll just maybe keep doing what I've been doing. If this job didn't work, this friendship didn't work, this relationship didn't work, this can be my truth. I don't want to do the work. And so then now the journey card is kind of reminding me of Sagittarius energy, the Eight of Wands and the Knight of Wands, which is about higher learning and education. If we don't want to keep repeating an old pattern, we have to be willing to see the truth of how we are repeating an old pattern. And we could be staying in our comfort zone, and we're not dealing with our fears and our insecurities, or we're not wanting to see the truth that either what we're doing or the people we're hanging out with, it's really not in our best interest. But again, in the devil in a typical tarot deck, like a Rider-Waite deck, looks just like the Lover's card, except the people have chains and shackles on them. We might not want to see the truth and I'm kind of referring to that because in high vibe, if normally the King of Pentacles is whole and the Queen of Pentacles are shown holding the one pentacle, and in high vibe energy, that means they learn lessons in life and they kind of healed and grew and matured themselves from love. But you have to be willing to put in the work and effort to work through those things that keep manipulating you. And some people decide, that's not my truth. I don't want to do that. I'm just going to keep doing what I've been doing and just hope that maybe at the next job, friendship, or relationship, because the devil kind of represents the world, so it can represent all those things. It can also represent people we're attracted to. I'll just go try to get a new job, a new friendship, a new relationship. And maybe this time it'll work. But they keep not wanting to see the truth that maybe they need to heal and grow and mature themselves. And it can just be, no, I want to live more from, my truth is that I'm still more aligned with my worldly egoic nature, which also can be, I'm defensive to love. I get hurt doing love. So from my self-protective nature, I've decided, whether I'm male or female, I have that free will choice, but I walked away from that free will choice. Instead of healing and growing and maturing myself in high vibe Capricorn energy, somewhere along the way, people decided to emotionally not align with that. And it's been kind of interesting. This card, wearing white, I kind of view it as Scorpio energy, but in both the Cancer reading, and I have another channel called I Alone Fly Tarot, and I did the Cancer on both channels. I did the Capricorn on the other channel, and they both had the wedding card in them. And the wedding card can be viewed as kind of like what we align with within ourselves, kind of what's my truth. And some people decided in their free will, I am not more interested in, maybe Scorpio can be about exploring the mysteries of life, and Scorpio is emotional water sign energy. We're emotionally complex human beings, and it can be confusing, right? And some people just decided, I think I'm okay not exploring the mysteries of life emotionally. And it can be, I choose to be more surface level, not be a very, maybe, connected in with my emotions and my intuition. I'm going to work with these things of the world. I've got my looks, my resources. I can use my emotions manipulatively, my sexuality manipulatively, my charm, my words. I can use all those things. I think that's good enough. And some people could find them kind of emotionally shallow and superficial. And that can be then what they try to use to get people to get in a relationship with them. More these things of the world versus love. But initially, they can try to present themselves as a more stable, grounded, mature person than they really are. And then it's not till later that people get in a relationship with them and they kind of realize that, we've all got healing and growing and maturing to do. And some people might be willing to heal and grow in some ways, but is their truth going to be different? No. I'm not going to make decisions in my life building from a foundation more motivated and inspired by truth and love. That's not my truth. And then that's when some people realize that love isn't ultimately what drives and motivates them. And then those people have to face their own fears like, oh my gosh, am I going to keep moving forward in this job or this relationship? I've already seen that they have these kind of shadowy ways of being, whatever it is. They're immature, they're prideful, they're defensive, they're egotistical. Nothing ever changes. They don't take more creative, inspired action in their life because to live their life differently and step out of their comfort zone, that's unknown territory. And they would have to kind of have some more hope and faith and belief in themselves, which is more high vibe energy, and let love and intuition guide them. And they don't want to do that. I'm okay doing this. Let's just keep doing this. And it's kind of like you never give birth to anything new. They have a way of living life. That's their truth. Which would be fine if they want to be single. But if you're going to get in a relationship with someone else, well, those people also have their truth. And that's where, if their truth and other people's truth is the same, well, then they both view life that way. The ones that are more compatible with them, kind of on the same page. Again, some people are really immature and self indulgent. Well, the more stable, grounded people who might be more about their ego and their image probably aren't going to hang out with those folks, even though they are in a degree of shadowy energy. Everybody's kind of looking for people who kind of seem to kind of be on the same page as them. View life the same way they view it in a way. The only problem is that if two people who are more shadowy get in a relationship and they both could be defensive to being willing to heal or grow or mature themselves, like, how dare you? I have this certain status or image in the world, or I look this certain way, or whatever. If you're not willing, I had my idea of how I thought things were going to go. And the other person's like, well, I had my idea of how I thought things were going to go. Well, if they're not in it for love anyway, that's when everybody kind of might be looking to see if there's anyone else who might have either experienced an ending with the disconnection card. Also, Scorpio energy is represented by the death card. Is there someone else that is maybe more a little on the same page as me, that I can tempt more with these things of the world or what I look like or whatever, to kind of, because they want it their way. If you're going to work together with other people, it's supposed to be from love. And love is supposed to be just and fair, and it's not just supposed to be about me and how I thought things were supposed to go. I'm now working with someone else who has their own truth, their own dreams, their own things that they're motivated and inspired by, and I have mine, and then together we're supposed to work through those things, and like we create this new life and we work together cooperatively. And shadowy energy can be where some people are like, well, no. I want to create the illusion I'm willing to do that, but actually I don't. I want it to be more my way. And we've all been in friendships, relationships, and workplaces where we've had to heal and grow and mature ourselves. We've had to work through some of our fears and insecurities. Some people have worked through more of those than other people. So, in tarot, they kind of talk about timelines that you're on. But it's just like age, emotional maturity level. We were all looked like at life a certain way when we were 15, and when we were 18, maybe, and when we were 21, and when we were 25. And some people kind of stay, they view life. I might have to go through some of those stages of life, maybe more just because of peer pressure, and to have look like someone that other people want to be in a relationship with, but they could still have the emotional maturity of like a 15-year-old or an 18-year-old or a 21 or 25-year-old, regardless of if they're 55 or 65. How much growing and maturing did they do in their life? And how many of them, somewhere along the way, were like, I'm good. Nope. I just want to keep doing this. And it's just different people, different jobs, different relationships, but they never change. And some people don't have any desire to keep growing and maturing themselves. Some people, the truth sets us free. But we can all make the free will choice to say, I'm not willing to see the truth about myself or how I live my life or what drives and motivates me, why I'm drawn and attracted to certain people. I don't want to deal with the truth of any of it. I just want, and it could be thinking, maybe even some people do kind of hurtful and unkind and unjust and unfair things. That'd be the devil, right? And then they think because they have a certain status or image in the world, or look a certain way or whatever, that they can just move on and like not, face consequences. Well, I think we've read an awful lot in the newspaper over the last couple years about some different people in the world who thought because they had such status, image, power, wealth, fame, that they could do these shadowy things and they could just keep moving on, kind of like untouchable in a way. And the thing is, um, I think there's rules to this game of life. And I think, eventually the truth comes out. Let's go look at the top row. For people who did grow up and mature themselves, we've all been in relationships with people who are more bossy, controlling, prideful, from the time we were children to our adulthood. We've all kind of went through those phases of life where um, we could have felt like in a way we were wearing a false mask in order to like fit in. And eventually you kind of realize the devil can be about where we kind of get so caught up in the illusion of the world, and life situations kind of force us to go on this journey if we don't want to repeat certain patterns, that we have to look at those things that kind of manipulate us. And then we realize when we deal with the truth of it and we offer truth and love to it so we can let it go and kind of let it be in our past. The only person I can grow up and mature is myself. Everyone else in my life had the free will to do that. Some of them did, and they've been really good role models in my life. Some people didn't. And again, I came in contact with all these people to try to help me figure out what my truth is and isn't. And I decided I'm going to work through what manipulates me. So, like some other people in my life, I don't keep repeating an old pattern. And in tarot, it can talk about it as generational curses. I can keep staying in denial. I can keep repeating old patterns. I can keep letting my past pain, heartbreak, fear, insecurities manipulate me. And I then have dealt with other people who have done that, and I'm just repeating the same thing. And some people did the work to go on that journey to look at those things of the past that could have manipulated them, and they offered truth and love to it. And then when they were willing to kind of more stand up for their more being more balanced, because uh, when we're aligned in ourself, which the Queen of Pentacles and the King of Pentacles can represent that, um, we're more in balance. We work through those things that had us tipped out of balance. And then when you do that work within yourself, even though you could offer truth and love to some of the people in your life, some of the people in your life don't want to go with you, because then they would have to do that work within themselves to get more balance within themselves and work through some of those issues to be more authentically who they are. And some of them are like, no, I want to go back and I want to keep wearing my false mask. And that's when people move on from some people. And some of you already did that. Some people right now in friendships, relationships, and workplaces, are offering that love and encouragement, but they're kind of at that point that, I am standing up for my more hopeful, believing, loving nature, whether I'm male or female. And I don't want to keep moving forward in this. And at the same time, some maybe people that are in shadowy energy, they can have some high vibe people saying, I wouldn't mind being in a friendship or relationship with you, or you working here or whatever, but things have to change. And the other people don't want to change. At the same time, they can have some friends and family members and romantic interest or coworkers or whatever that are like, hey, you don't have to do that. Let those people go. Let them go on their own journey. You should align with us and hang out with us. You don't got to do that work. You don't have to grow up and mature yourself. Come hang out with us. And then they'll probably go on a journey with those people. And that relationship will work out until maybe one of them starts to grow or heal or mature themselves. And then the same scenario will happen again. And for some of the people who kind of repeat some poor past patterns, they again could have some people in their life that are like, what's going on? I thought we were all going to put in the work, and I thought we were going to go on this journey. For some people, they were in a relationship and are in relationships with people who created the illusion, like if it's a job, you're going to move forward and you're going to be able to take on more responsibility. If it's relationships and, friendships, it could be more like, I treat people in a just and fair way. And then you find out they're not. Other people could have created the illusion they were willing to marry someone, but they were just indulging in the relationship for as long as the person was willing to move forward in a relationship with them where they didn't have to make a more formal commitment. And if they got someone in their life who's willing to go on that, as long as they're willing to keep indulging them in a relationship and aren't willing to kind of stand up for themselves, that I deserve to be in a more, mature or committed or formal relationship, they'll stay in it. So for some people who are getting out of situations, some people who already did, the reason for the top rose reading is some people are more motivated and inspired maybe by more deep, meaningful relationships, and other people are wanting to be in relationships because they're more emotionally invested in the world. And again, they could be codependent, they could be more materialistic or status driven, and they saw the truth of it. And so they had to work on detaching from this card in a more shadowy way, because if they didn't, they would be tempted to repeat this old pattern, and they don't want to repeat that pattern. And so, as some other people are moving forward in life, what some other people don't know about them, because shadowy people, it can be more about just creating an illusion. Hide the fact that you harness that in a shadowy way. Just don't let people know it. Well, other people have lived life enough that they know if they don't do the work to deal with the truth of what that is, whatever kind of tempted them before to take action that they took in their life or look at life the way they did or themselves or whatever, if they don't deal with that, it's still because there's always going to be other shadowy people in the world. And again, the only person we can change is ourselves. So realizing I have to change that within me. That is the ultimate deciding factor if I will repeat that pattern or not. Because there's always going to be other attractive, charming, blah, 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 or whatever it is, right? So, what some people in the world and some of the people who you might have moved on from, they might think you're just creating a good illusion about how you're living your life. But what they don't understand is you're not creating an illusion. You did see through the illusion of something that manipulated you in the past. And that it doesn't manipulate you the way it used to. And now you're harnessing this energy in a more high vibrational way. And you've cut out the people in your life that harness it and kind of relate with you in a more shadowy way. What is it? The Garden, which is Libra energy. Some of you could have been dealing with a Libra, but we have a lot of people in our life that we deal with. Libra is represented by the scales of justice and what we think is just and fair. You had a way of living life at one time that you thought was just and fair. You could have looked more to things of the world to make you feel more balanced within yourself or kind of more caught up in the illusion of the world. And, oh, if I make my life about this and about that and I have these things and whatever, I'll be happy. You used to think that was the gateway. And you realized it wasn't. And the way you look at life is different now. What you think is just and fair is different. Just like, again, when we were 15 and 18 and 21 and 25, what we thought was just and fair ways of functioning in the world, acting in the world, treating other people, how we viewed ourselves, how we view the world. Was it just and fair for us to view life at whatever stage of life we were at? Yeah, that was the stage of life we were at. We had some lessons to learn. We were going on a journey of learning these lessons. And then when we learn the lesson and we see that, kind of how we've grown and matured ourselves emotionally, some of those old ways of living our life that we used to think were just and fair, we're like, no, I'm not going to kind of indulge myself in that anymore. But other people still they want to move forward in life looking more mature and stable and grounded, but they still think some of these more immature, shadowy ways of being, they still think those things are just and fair. Some people detach from wearing more of a false mask and they're really more authentic and loving, and some people are still much more wearing a false mask. We all could have been more immature. Some people still are. So you don't view a way you used to live life or view life. That's not something that you want to go back to. And some other people are still living life that way, viewing life that way, viewing relationships or how they treat other people that way. And that's not your truth. Could have been your truth once upon a time, because Libra energy, air sign energy of the swords, and I view it as the King of Swords, you kind of got clear about what your truth was and your truth wasn't. And you found out your truth was different than their truth. How you wanted to move forward and what you thought was just and fair was different than how they wanted to move forward and what they thought was just and fair. So then we have the child, and we have the fire signs, the trumpet, and that's a feminine figure, which can be emotionally. Some people have climbed that mountain because this kind of looks like a cliff overlooking the water, ocean down below. And again, kind of being able to look at the world and just kind of see through the illusion of it, because water, also being the intuitive emotional realm, you can see how we kind of get so manipulated in our worldly nature and see how other people are so manipulated in their worldly nature, which can even be their loving nature. You can be a very loving, giving person, and other people try to manipulate you. And until you get more balance within yourself, if I'm in a mismatched relationship, a loving person is giving, 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 hoping the other person that it will get more just and fair and balanced one day. But some people, that is their idea of the dream relationship, and that's how they want to keep going. If they had wanted to be a more loving, just, fair, nurturing person to begin with, they would have been. They've been looking for someone to give, 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 and for them to take, take, take. And some people, we can be generous in different ways. Some people are motivated by love, but they're also very encouraging, supportive, and we can be supportive and encouraging in different ways. Some people have social clout, have more power, have more influence, and have more money. And the people who are loving people can give of themselves in many ways. And there's people in the world that, it's kind of like enough is never enough. And I think this is my idea of the dream life. You keep doing that, I'll keep doing this. And they want it to keep moving forward like that. They have no interest in getting to it being more balanced. They have their truth, the other people had their truth. And with the fire sign energy, with kind of looking at like a sunset and the sun, which is Leo energy, which is fire sign energy, and the trumpet, kind of your rally cry, but in our Leo energy and our fire sign energy of Aries and Sagittarius, again, we're either more about ourself and our ego and our immaturity, and that's like our trumpet call of success, or we've kind of looked at life from a higher perspective. And the child card here also has dolphins in it coming up out of the water. Our creative, inspired, hopeful, believing nature. I don't want my ego to run my life and my more authentic nature just to have to look out through my eyeballs, but I let my ego run my life. I want to be balanced within myself and be like a good mother, father, coach voice to myself. And I want to grow and mature myself and be inspired to love and believe in myself and live my more authentic life and not let all these things in the world manipulate me, because when I do, then my ego runs my life. And then my more loving nature is kind of left in the back seat of my life while my shadow nature kind of runs my life. I don't want my more shadowy nature to run my life. So they decide to love and believe in themselves. And then we have the mature man, which maybe in this case would be more like kind of like a King of Pentacles, but also the Hierophant, which is about learning these lessons in life, seeing that there's more to work with in the world instead of being just so caught up in like shadowy Hierophant Taurus energy of us and our ego. We are these spiritual, emotional people. We are emotionally complex. We all thrive best like in the energy of the sun, love and encouragement, and to think that we can somehow have that life without us authentically aligning with that truth. And so, high vibe King of Pentacles, Hierophant would be that needs to be my truth. And I need to walk the talk. And I need to past life and the ending card, which the ending card, kind of like the death card of Scorpio, you know, it makes me think of that. Oh, there's a Bible verse that something along the line that when I was a child, I spoke like a child, I thought and reasoned like a child, but when I grew up, I put away my more childish ways of being. So to think it should be more about me, or I should be able to be immature, bossy, petty, lazy, whatever, and think that high vibe people are going to want to keep being in a relationship with me. And some people who right now, again, are wearing a false mask, trying to move forward with someone who really has done this inner work to be more balanced within themselves. Eventually, those people, as they get to know them, they'll realize that these people are repeating this old pattern. I've already, that you're not who you really present yourself to be. You're wearing like a false mask. And you basically want me to indulge you where you don't really walk the talk and you're not really invested in truth and love is to be just and fair. And you're supposed to treat other people the way you want to be treated. And you still want to kind of repeat this old pattern. And in shadowy Scorpio energy that anyone can harness, keep your more authentic nature, loving nature, creative, inspired nature buried beneath the surface, and be this more emotionally shallow, superficial, like cardboard cutout person. But I am being authentic and honest and loving and just and fair. And I want to be in a relationship with people who are like that. And so, it kind of took you to the next level, because the Hierophant would be a higher level than a King of Pentacles. Really walking the talk. Again, everybody, the Hierophant of Taurus energy can talk about people's belief systems, and it kind of dictates the decisions they make in their life. And the fire sign energy can be, I have to deal with the truth. I have my more authentic, loving nature. And I have been illuminated that some people aren't who they say they are. Some people aren't just and fair. They don't act with character and integrity. And as you keep kind of offering love and encouragement to yourself and walking the talk, it's kind of like every day you're walking that direction, and some other people in your life, they're walking that direction. And, it can take time to emotionally heal, because there could have been love there, but it could have been a more codependent love, or a more working through healing some issues from your past that maybe made you not be willing to love and believe in yourself, shine your authentic life, stand up for yourself. And all those life experiences were those things that helped to transform you. The death card in Scorpio is about death and transformation, where you work through this emotional confusion and complexity, that I have to stand up for my truth because the other people are standing up for their truth, and their truth isn't my truth. And I think we've been illuminated to that truth, because I'm going this way, offering truth and love and justice and fairness, and they're going that way. Apparently, that's not what interests them. So they might not want to be in more emotionally mature relationships, don't want to be in more deep, meaningful relationships, don't want to be in more just and fair relationships. that's not where they're at in their emotional maturity. And they will go try to find someone else who they think is more kind of on the same way of living life or viewing life like they view it. If they were motivated and inspired by that, they'd be doing that, you know? And I think as you're moving forward in this action within yourself and in your friendships and your relationships with the people who do walk the talk, who are inspired to grow and heal and mature themselves and appreciate loving, just, fair relationships, those are the people you're going to keep moving forward with. And there'll be other people that won't be moving forward that are going to watch you go on your journey because they're not willing, and also kind of in a way they can't. I mean, they could wear their false mask, but you've already seen the truth. They can't kind of manipulate you anymore because you already were illuminated to the truth. So they got to go find someone else to manipulate. And then the death card talks about working through that phase of life and kind of emotionally detaching from it to have this new beginning. And I think as you move forward, you're going to focus more of your time and attention on people who seem to be on that same page as you, who really are who they say they are more emotionally mature, stable, grounded, authentic, and loving. And those are the people you can have your dreams come into reality. You can't have your dream come into reality with someone whose truth is different than your truth. And you see the truth of it. And so some people are getting out of jobs, friendships, relationships, people they thought they were going to marry, people they did marry. Some people already did that and they're just going through the process of really emotionally detaching from it. And some of the shadowy people just think you're putting on a better illusion than they are. The thing is, they are kind of trying to manipulate the truth. They are trying to use their status or their image or try to get other people to view them a certain way. And I think the high vibe people are like, people are going to think what they want to think based on the type of person they are. I'm just going to go live my truth and let the world can judge away. But for some people, where their image and how people view them is what they have to offer people, it's very important to them. And it can kind of consume them because they're so not wanting people to see that they're kind of really not who they say they are. And so they really try to manipulate the truth about people in their life who don't stay in relationship with them. You know, some people can quit being in friendships and relationships and they can wish each other peace. We're just kind of have different goals and dreams and ambitions. And other people, it's like, oh no, I got to try to put an end to you. I do not want anybody to view you as a just and fair and stable and grounded and loving person because then they'd wonder why I didn't stay in a relationship with you. And I might try to stop you from being able to accomplish what you want to accomplish because that can be shadowy people who think they should be God in other people's lives and they're the boss. But you adhere to a higher truth and justice, and that's the Hierophant energy. I believe I have more to work with than just these things of the world. I align with creative, inspired energy that I think works with me to get me the justice I deserve if I am willing to put in the work and effort to not repeat old patterns and take action more out of shadowy energy. And I believe it will transform my whole life. And some of you are going to be moving forward in much more stable, grounded, abundant friendships, relationships, workplaces, or if you're already married, you didn't let other people cause disruption in your life or be tempted in your more immature nature. If you're not in a marriage or in relationship with someone like that, I think as you move forward, you've detached from some people, and I think you're going to meet other people who see that you are who you say you are. And you are going to move forward in a way that is worth trumpeting about if you wanted to, but I don't think high vibe people really care what other people think. I'm just going to let my life speak for itself. And you could either be a spiritual leader, is what the Hierophant means, or you really walk the talk and you are who you say you are, and you would look like someone that other people want to be in a relationship with. But if people want to repeat this old way of viewing relationships where it's more about one person kind of being more indulged, that's fine. I'll go enjoy my life and my friends and my family and my career, and I won't get in a relationship if there's no one around that's like in that frame of mind. I don't want to settle for the illusion again. What's coming up for people who harness some high vibe Capricorn energy that they might not see coming? Okay. King of Swords, or the Knight of Swords, fell on the table. Then we have two cards not showing themselves, and the reason is because of the Six of Wands. So, you are inspired to work through your mental conflict. The Knights can talk about fighting for what you believe in. The Knight of Swords comes from the King and Queen of Swords. I have my truth. I have my dreams, what I think is just and fair. And I'm inspired to stand up for what I believe in. I'm as passionate about my truth of it being just and fair and based on truth and love. That's what I'm motivated and inspired by. And I see the truth that other people are motivated by what they're passionate and inspired by. But it's different. And because you were inspired to get to the truth and you offered truth and love to it, that helped you detach from staying in something that wasn't healthy, or helped you outgrow a phase of life so you could keep moving forward in your life, growing and maturing yourself. And again, what some people you don't maybe see coming and other people don't see coming is, again, you're going to detach from harnessing these energies in a more shadowy way. And if there's other people in your life that, because it is kind of like stages, before you leave a certain phase of life, you might change some things here and there. And then these could be the last two things that you kind of needed to detach from. And again, some people don't realize you harness it more in a high vibrational way now. The Four of Swords and the Page of Pentacles. So the Four of Swords, like the Garden card, is Libra energy. And the Page of Pentacles can be that in all three of your earth sign energies of Capricorn, Virgo, and Taurus. Because in our worldly nature, and we grow up in the world, we're pretty inspired by those things of the world for the first 30, 40 years of our life. And you were too. Because we kind of get indoctrinated in the world to think that, oh, you should go do this and you should make your life about that. And if you do that, you'll be happy. But we kind of didn't really listen to more of our authentic truth and kind of didn't maintain balance within ourselves. And it could have kind of tipped us out of balance and realizing that we were kind of repeating an old pattern based on what other people in our life have done and are doing. But you healed. And now you are willing to be a student of life, not in your ego. I am willing. Life is about learning lessons. I could have learned some painful life lessons. I've emotionally dealt with it. I've offered love and encouragement to myself. And I've healed. And I'm ready to have this new beginning. And that's what, again, some people don't understand. As you're moving forward in your life, you could have different people who maybe can be defensive to you. Maybe because the Knight of Swords can be defensive, the Six of Wands can be kind of prideful or manipulative type energy. Your own shadowy nature doesn't want you to love and believe in yourself because your shadowy nature wants to be in the driver's seat of your life. And then there's other more defensive, immature people that might want to have a victory with you, is what the Six of Wands talks about. But some of those people, as they kind of get to know you, are going to realize you're not willing to repeat some of these old ways of interacting in relationships. And then they start to realize, oh, you've healed. You're not in more codependent energy. And those people have to keep moving on, trying to find someone else, going to see who else they can go find to kind of manipulate. Because you've healed and you've moved on. And you're ready for a more mature relationship. So, what's coming up for people? And I think you will move forward in a way that looks very just and fair, and like your dreams are coming into reality, shining bright in the world, moving forward victoriously because you're taking action in your life in truth and love and justice and fairness and enjoying your life. Life's to be enjoyed just within moderation, where you don't look to these things of the world to be the end all be all in your life and make them God in your life and the answer to your problems. You keep things in balance. You know what your truth is. These things of the world are just things that we can enjoy and invest time, energy, and effort into. But true victory comes from being loving and nurturing and connected in with kind of your emotions, your intuition, your creative side, your worldly nature, but in balance. And other people are still more tipped out of balance. What's coming up for people who harness a more worldly, shadowy? Oh, and then there's going to be other people that harness this energy the same way as you that you'll meet. You know, it's just like other people have moved on in life ahead of you, and they've been like waiting for other people to come up the path of life who aren't repeating some of these patterns. And then when you come up the path of life, they'll be like, oh my gosh, we're so glad you, worked through that. We're so glad to have someone like you in our neighborhood or at our workplace or whatever. We got enough people who are doing this here. We needed some people doing this. And they will defend you and be inspired by you like you will defend them and be inspired by them because they're more emotionally mature, balanced people. What's coming up for the shadowy people they might not see coming? 2 cards not showing themselves because of the Tower. Well, when we keep not, that's another rule to this game of life. We have free will to live our life whatever way we want. But when we take action more out of pride, ego, lust, greed, trying to control people, try to manipulate people, confuse people about the truth, being full of ourselves, we can't, the truth will be revealed. And things will not go right in your life because it's trying to tell you you're kind of going down the wrong path. Can you keep going down that path? Yeah, you have free will. You can keep letting these things manipulate you. But it's not going to get them what they think it is going to get. They have to be like planting good seeds to get a good harvest, and they have to be working with other people who are planting good seeds. But some people think, well, again, I don't want to plant good seeds, but I want to be in a relationship with someone who does. And whatever they're trying to accomplish, they could be finding out it's not working out the way that they want. But again, they can try to stay in denial of the truth. No, no, no. I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to try again at a different job, friendship, or relationship. I am not willing to see that either I need to emotionally grow and mature myself, or I need to get in relationships with people who are more emotionally mature. But they're going to experience a Tower moment. And part of it can be because they might not want to see the truth of how they harness us in a shadowy way. And then they can, the people they end up aligning with more like defending or being attracted to harness it in a more shadowy way. The Four of Swords, a lot of Libra energy here. And the Ten of Pentacles. Sometimes some people, they're also equally out of balance, kind of in a shadowy way, where they like to maybe play like a loving, nurturing role in people's lives, and in a lot of ways they can. But when they get in relationships with other people who are emotionally nurturing, which, we can help each other work through our fears and our insecurities and our self-limiting beliefs. When the other people in their life do that work, in a way they can be happy, but because they're still in a shadowy energy, they can get in their jealousy and their ego, and they don't want to change. Like, I like to play like God in your life. You should heal and grow and mature yourself. That would be good, but not me. And then that's when relationships can end, because they can be loving, nurturing people, but then they don't want to see the truth of where they need to heal and grow and mature in their own foundation. And then they can wonder, why do these relationships not work? Because they have a more stubborn, rigid, like, other people need to heal and grow and mature, but not me. And other people do heal and grow and mature themselves. They're ready to move forward in life differently. And they're like, well, no, but I want to keep doing this. It's like, well, I'm not the same person I was when I got in this relationship. And they're like, but I still am. Well, why don't you do that work within yourself? No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to see the truth. And so then relationships break up. So the Ten of Pentacles, generally a 10, would mean that, they've learned all the lessons they needed to learn there. It's time to be a Page of Pentacles. You see what you need to let go of. You take the good building blocks with you to the next stage of life. But they don't want to let go of anything. They have a way of living life or viewing life that they think is just and fair. Well, the problem is other people do grow and mature themselves and heal and get inspired to kind of give birth to new things. That's with the Death card, death and transformation. And you give birth to go to the next stage of life. But they don't want to step out of their comfort zone. So again, they can kind of be loving and encouraging people, but they want those people to maybe grow and heal and mature themselves some, but then let's just keep doing this forever. Like, then you might have healed and grown and matured yourself, but now we're going to put you in a box, and you have to stop healing and growing and maturing anymore. Because if you keep doing that, then I would have to keep moving forward with you, or I don't even like that you maybe healed and grew and matured as much as you did, because now you're kind of on the same level as me, and I don't like that, because I like it being in a more mismatched relationship where they can like to feel like I'm the boss or I'm the parent, and you're like the employee or the child who is more codependent on me. And they like kind of that type of relationship dynamic. But they think, and it could just be they think it's just and fair to be in a relationship with people more for the status, the ego, the image. Think people, because of their fear and their want for those things, that regardless of how they may behave in a relationship, they just keep thinking, because those things are so important to them, that they think those things should equally be that important in other people. But for other people, high vibe energy is about balance. Do I want some of those things of the world? Of course. Do I want stability and security and enjoy some of the finer things and be in friendship and relationship with people? Yeah. Am I willing to sacrifice my truth or love for those things? No. But the other people maybe already did. They already kind of sold their soul to the devil. This is what his life's about. This is what I'm going to make my life about. Sure, it will make them happy. And whatever it is that they make so important in their life that they think will make them happy, other people in their life don't agree. And they could always be shocked when other people don't agree. What? Why don't you want to stay in it for these reasons? And the other people are like, because high vibe Ten of Pentacles, high vibe energy is about balance and being just and fair. And these people have a weird idea of, again, if they have more of these things that they think they have in the world that other people want or should want, they think, then they think it's a little more just and fair for it to be more about them. And other people see the truth of it. There is no being inspired by love to just act with character and integrity. Everybody being balanced. Everybody be willing to learn lessons in life, to be a student of life. And they're like, nope, not me. And I also don't want to step out of my comfort zone. I want to keep doing this. Like, so they could keep thinking they're going to transform their life, but until they detach from this old way of living life or viewing life, they're the same person. So they're contributing like the same seeds. They can get in relationships with other people who might be planting better seeds, but eventually those people aren't going to want to be in a relationship with them anymore, and they don't get that. So there you go, Capricorn. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.